Good evening, everyone. A very, very warm welcome to a very rainy evening. The monsoons have, of course, begun in Bombay, a little delayed but much awaited, just like the way our webinar is much awaited under the IPGA Knowledge Series. And we are very happy to host it today, the topic being Kharif Sowing Overview and Monsoon Outlook. While we're a little earlier in the day, it was good to have this webinar. We felt it's a timely from the perspective of getting to know what is, the way forward for us in terms of the sowing patterns of Kharif pulses, which are extremely important, as well as, how the monsoons are going to play out and the impact, of course, for all our key stakeholders. We have a great lineup of speakers today. And before I introduce all of them, I would like to, of course, invite our chairman, Mr. Bimal Kothari, to give us the opening remarks. And I'm sure all of you are waiting to hear his insights and inputs for the webinar. So over to you, sir. We request you to give us the opening remarks for the webinar.
Global pulse trade in industry in the different geographies. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. In my capacity as a chairman of India Pulses and Grains Association, IPGA, the apex body of the pulses and grains trade in India, I extend a hearty welcome to each one of you. Recently, I took over as the chairman of India Pulses and Grains Association. I was the vice chair since its inception about 8 decades ago. Friends, for the Indian pulse sector, we at IPGA have set ourselves a vision and a specific transformational agenda that we hope to pursue single-mindedly. This agenda covers more production, more processing in a scientific way, more consumption, value addition, as well as more open, predictable, and liberal foreign trade. We are working on specific short-term and medium-term strategies to achieve these objectives in the best interest of all the stakeholders. For this, IPGA is working closely with the policymakers. We provide policy inputs and forward guidance about markets in the most objective and unbiased manner. For pulses, the Indian government is keen to boost domestic output year to year. Strategies for sustaining self-sufficiency in pulses are in place. They cover closing the yield gap, or area expansion, and productivity enhancement. Friends, IPGA's vision is to make Indian pulse and trade and grains industry globally competitive, and in doing so, help advance India's food and nutrition security. IPGA takes the onus of essaying a leadership role in the domestic agribusiness and play a more proactive role in the global domain to foster healthy relationship among Indian market participants and between India and all our associates overseas. Friends, IPGA started the IPGA Knowledge Series webinars during the pandemic in July 2020 to connect with our global stakeholders. These webinars are hosted with eminent domain experts from the government, from the market and industry to discuss and explore topics of critical interest to the pulse sector in India and the world at large. Through this initiative, IPGA has become a knowledge hub and a global think tank for the pulses sector. Given the tremendous response to IPG Knowledge Series, the webinars have become very successful. Today, friends, as Sonia announced, we are hosting webinar on Kharif Sowing Overview and Monsoon Outlook. Today's webinar will have a focused discussion on covering the key aspects like Kharif pulses sowing, impact of weather and monsoon decision, expected production, demand and supply, as well as the price outlook for Kharif pulses, mainly tuar, udad and moong. Over 400 participants from across many countries are attending this webinar. At IPGA, we take care to ensure that our webinars are topical and relevant to the existing scenario in the country and the trade. As Kharif pulses sowing has just about started, and the early understanding of monsoon pattern will help us understand the outlook better, we felt that this was the perfect time to host this webinar and try to answer the question at the top of everyone's mind currently, whether India is set for another bumper crop with good monsoon and or otherwise the sowing will increase, or how this is going to impact our policies. As we all know that Kharif pulses cover about 35 to 40% of the total pulse production. The monsoon will have a major role in the farmer's perspective around sowing of Kharif pulses. The government has already good quantity of Rabi pulses from the previous as well as the current year. Even though the monsoon has been delayed, we hope that we'll now witness a more active monsoon, and which we have seen that started since last week of June. That will help the increased sowing and production, which will eventually maintain the price stability and lesser dependence on the imports. In fact, IPGA has been recommending a long-term free trade policy with conducive import duty structures, as well as good incentives to promote the exports of pulses such as chana. A good understanding of the monsoon outlook, sowing patterns, and the crop diversification will give us clarity of the government policies expected around pulses. Friends, this evening we are privileged to be joined by our esteemed panelists, both from the government as well as the trade. I would like to thank our expert panelists, Dr. S.K. Malhotra, Dr. O.P. Srijit, Mr. Deepak Parekh, Mr. B. Krishnamurthy, Mr. Vikram Thakkar, and Mr. Avinash Valla. I believe this is going to be a webinar that will provide in-depth information covering key aspects of the trade and how the monsoon is expected to be pan out. Friends, before I conclude, I would like to make an important announcement. Friends, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to host the 6th edition of our highly successful key event, the Pulses Conclave, which is a biennial event, and it will be held on 16 to 18 February 2023 in the financial capital of India, the vibrant city of Mumbai. The key agenda of the Pulses Conclave would be the sustainability, which is today the biggest challenge for our trade and industry. I am sure that it will be a fantastic, impactful, and knowledge-enriching event for all those in the world of pulses. So, let me conclude by saying that we at IPGA are excited about India's growth story and will be a part of it. Our attempt will be to build global competitive in the business. Thank you, friends. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I hand over it to Sonia. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kothari. As always, very insightful. And now I would like to introduce our keynote speaker. Dr. Malhotra has always been there to support us in all our webinars and has delivered very insightful presentations. In fact, our participants always look forward to his presentations and insight. But today he's speaking to us in a new capacity as Project Director, Directorate of Knowledge Management and Agriculture, Indian Council of Agriculture Research. Dr. S.K. Malhotra is currently working as a project director, prior to which he was the Agriculture Commissioner. And before taking the charge in the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, he has over 30 years of experience as scientist and techno-administrator in National Agriculture Research System. As I said, his inputs are always very insightful to us. They help our trade to get a good perspective. And today, Dr. Malhotra is going to be speaking to us on preparedness for Kharif 2022 and a production overview. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon, everybody. Namaskar. Thank you so much, Sonia ji, for a nice introduction which you have just made. So, as we have heard, Mr. Kothari, he has already set the stage and he has mentioned that now this time weather conditions are going to be very conducive, and now the indications which whatsoever are appearing through monsoon. Here we could see that it is running as per the long-term assessments given by the meteorological department, that here the monsoon onset will be late by 7 to 10 days. That delay is happening. Another point, it was also mentioned that rain condition will be good after 10th of July. So indications are good, and favorable conditions are expected. And now even in Delhi also, we have received good rains, and it started from the yesterday only, and a good amount of rain has been received, and definitely it will create a good impact on the sowing, because initial moisture for sowing of the pulse is always good. So Government of India has already released the third estimates for the year 2021-22, and those results, I mean, those estimates are also good for some crops, but except for wheat, because there was some kind of setback because of terminal heat, which was seen during the month of April onwards, when there was when the crop was at the maturity phase. So some kind of reduction, and some reduction in the yield has been noticed in case of wheat, but I'll not speak much about this wheat and rice, because here today we are going to discuss about the pulses. And further, you have mentioned that what kind of preparedness Government of India has done. So we have a kind of system here in the Ministry of Agriculture, where we all sit together and we discuss with the states, and we review the performance, that what kind of performance was there in the last Rabi season, and then for the coming Kharif season, which now we are going to start this ensuing Kharif season. We discussed, and the Kharif workshop, National Kharif workshop was held, where the complete action plan was discussed for this season, and targets have been set, that what kind of targets are required to be achieved. So preparedness has been also ensured, and all states have been asked to make available the inputs, either it is seed of the good varieties, and then second one is pesticides or other agrochemicals, or it's a fertilizer. Those are required to be made available at micro level, and that kind of preparedness is already on, and some kind of pre-positioning of the inputs. We always emphasize before start of the onset of the season. So positioning of the inputs that has been ensured. And as per the third advance estimates, as I have mentioned, that if I speak about gram, really we received very good feedback, and Rabi season production was good. But Kharif is also very important for us, as Kotaris have also mentioned that 35 to 40% of our pulses production comes from Kharif season, and Kharif season gives us some yield of that peculiar crops which are grown only during the Kharif season. Or either you speak about pigeon pea, or it's a Bengal, or it's a green gram, or it's a mung bean. So these are the three major crops if we speak about. And the third estimates which has been given for urad, it has been mentioned that here in the Kharif season, 1.8 million ton, that was the yield last year, and now again targets have been fixed that we need to further get more yield during this season, and a few new varieties have come for this green gram and those this black gram. So those new varieties have been introduced, and the yield level for those new varieties is high. So one is urad, then another is mung bean, or green gram we call it. So green gram also, Rabi season also a lot of area coverage was there, and now for Kharif season again seed has been made available to all parts of the country. And another important crop which we are going to put focus, that's pigeon pea, tur we call it in a vernacular language, so arhar. So that crop last this third estimates which we have received, it's a 4.35 million ton which we have got. This is through the initial indications which we have received, and further the government of India has fixed the target to achieve 4.5 million ton for this ensuing Kharif season, which just it is going to start. So indications are very good, and here MSP enhancement has also taken place. So it's a kind of trigger, I should say, because it will also motivate the farmers to cover more area under these pulses crops. And here for arhar, mung and urad, there is an enhancement of minimum support price, and there is a good enhancement of minimum support price for arhar and urad from 6,000 rupees per quintal. It has gone to 6,300. So 300 rupees it has been enhanced. For mung bean, again good enhancement has been done from 7,196 rupees per quintal to 7,275. So overall, I would like to mention that here, the last point I would like to mention, and then I'll close it. And then further, if there will be any query, I'll be very happy to answer it. For mung bean, urad bean, and tur, we already have prescribed the buffer stock, and buffer stock position which has been set for mung, it is a 1 lakh quintal, and then for urad 4 lakh quintal, and 10 lakh quintal for this pigeon pea. These are the buffer stock prescribed position which has been set for this purpose. So these all are the few points, and we have already conveyed the message to the state governments that monsoon indications are good, because we will recurrently receive the rainfall, and we need to make best utilization of the all favorable conditions so that we can enhance the productivity for the pulses crop, and hope that a dry spell will not be this year, and definitely we will get the good yield. Thank you so much. These are a few of the points just I wanted to share.
Thank you, Dr. Malhotra. That was very, again, helpful. As you have been driving the policy planning, program development, and administration of mission programs, such as the National Food Security Mission, we all really hope that we have great monsoons. So that's the vision, the Prime Minister's vision is definitely, of us being Atmanirbhar and self-sufficient in pulses is fulfilled. It's a pleasure to hear you. And our next speaker is equally interesting. We have Dr. Ofi Srijit, Managing Director from the, I'm so, just give me a second, I'm so sorry. Dr. O.P. Srijit did his PhD in atmospheric and space science from Samir Bhai Phule Pune University, and he's the charge of climate mentoring and prediction group of climate research and services, IMD Pune. And we have Dr. O.P. Srijit talking to us on a very important topic about the monsoon, about the weather, which hopefully the weather gods are kind to us, to our farmers, and we have a good sowing and production going forward for Kharif pulses, especially to Urad and Mung, the three topics that we have, which will be in depth discussed by some of our speakers today. Over to you, Dr. Srijit. We are looking forward to your presentation.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Sonia ji, for nice introduction. Shall I start my presentation? Okay, thank you. I'm going to talk about that overview of monsoon outlook for 2022 season. And in my talk, I mainly discuss the what is the current rainfall scenario and what is the current monsoon advancement, and then the what are the forecast, seasonal forecast issued during the in the month of May, April, and the updated forecast we have issued in the month of May. And yesterday we have again updated our monthly forecast. Every month we are issuing. In that yesterday we have issued for the month of July rainfall and temperature. I will cover that also. And what are the climate drivers? That also briefly I will discuss. Next slide, please. Yeah. Now we can look at what is the onset of southwest monsoon in this year. The monsoon advance over Andaman Sea in the on 16th May 2022, nearly 5 days before the normal date actually. And then IMD issue that monsoon onset over Kerala, that is the southern tip of peninsular India. That also we have issued on May 15th, that is 27th, we have issued with plus or minus 4 days model error. Then actual monsoon onset happened on 29th, and southwest monsoon now cover most of the region by June 30th. Now only few region in the over the Rajasthan it is remaining. Okay, next slide, please. Now we can look at what is the current rainfall scenario. That as per the data on June 30, the country as a whole, we received that rainfall received only 92%, that is of LPA, that is 8% less than the long period average. And if we say, we can see the other regional homogeneous region wise, the in east and northeast India we got very good excess rainfall, and other region it is less. And the right panel you can see that subdivision wise rainfall map. In that you can see that northeast blue color it is showing that excess, and green color it is showing that normal, and red color it is deficient. There are in the central Indian region there is a the rainfall deficiency was more, and that lower panel we can see that rainfall anomaly over the core monsoon zone, that is the main monsoon zone, which is which area that is mainly rain-fed agriculture is doing. In that area, you can see that in the initially that my monsoon was that in the deficiency was more, but on 11th onwards we got a very good rainfall, and recently just before the end of the month, 2 days it is again that is rainfall was going to that deficient category, but again that is picked up now. Okay, next slide, please. Now we can see that what is the overall rainfall scenario over Indian region. You can see that left side panel it is showing that observed rainfall, and middle panel it is showing that normal, and the right panel it is the departure. So you can see that most of the Indian region we got good rainfall, yeah, but as compared to normal, that central Indian region we got less rainfall. Next. Now, another important things in the each nowadays, heavy rainfall and extremely rainfall are increasing, as you can see in many literature as well as the IPCC reports. It is showing that heavy and extreme rainfall conditions are increasing, and normal moderate rainfall rainy days are very less. Now we can see in that this year June, this is based on June data. You can see that many in the northeastern state we received very extremely heavy rainfall, as well as the other region also we got some extreme rainfall. We have compared that extreme rainfall from last 5 years. We can see that this year also that heavy rainfall is around 238 events as reported, and extremely heavy around 80. But that is comparable with other years. Then next slide, please. Now we can look at what are the other climate drivers like El Nino, IOD, and all. How the condition this year. This is why the ENSO condition is one of the important, because that is the global. Our monsoon is global planetary scale circulation. So that this type of sea surface temperature over anomaly over the globe, especially over the tropical Pacific Ocean, that is influences more. So you can see that over the equatorial Pacific region, that the cool SST temperature is observed, and this this condition is the threshold is La Nina condition, that is cooler than normal. That is, but another important thing is that these La Nina conditions are always most of the time that is favorable for Indian summer monsoon rainfall. Next slide, please. Now we can look at what is the global forecast for ENSO and IOD, Indian Ocean Dipole. That left side panel, it is showing that for probability forecast for La Nina. You can see that blue color, it is indicating that La Nina condition is likely to continue throughout the year. So, and right side panel is showing there are various global model as well as statistical model, as well as the dynamical models taken from many international centers, that you can see most of the SST anomalies are in the lower side, or cooler side it is indicating. And the lower panel, it is showing that the IOD condition, current IOD condition over the Indian Ocean. Currently that IOD is in the negative, neutral IOD condition is prevailed over Indian Ocean. But most of the majority of the model, it is showing that there is a chance for development of a negative IOD during the monsoon season. Next slide, please. Yeah, now last year we have adopted that new strategy for long range forecast. Based on that, earlier we were not given, in IMD is not given any spatial pattern of probability of rainfall over the Indian region. Now that last year onwards, we are also started issuing that probability forecast for rainfall over the spatial probability forecast we have started issue, and this is the first stage forecast we are issued in the month of April, middle of April, and the updated forecast they issued in the end of May, and that we are updating that probability forecast, spatial probability forecast. Along with that, we are giving that 4 homogeneous region. And in addition to that, last year we have started that core monsoon region. That is mainly rain-fed agriculture. That is that region also we are giving that forecast. Then we have started monthly forecast for June, July, August, and September in the end of the or beginning of the month. Next slide, please. Yeah, that forecast for 2022 Southwest monsoon rainfall we have issued on in the first that second stage I'm mentioning here. That indicate the country as a whole likely to be get normal rainfall, and quantitatively the monsoon season rainfall over the country as a whole is 103 of a long period average, and a long period average for the last 1971 to 2020 data, it is 87 centimeter, and monsoon rainfall over the 4 homogeneous region, if we consider above normal over more normal rainfall likely over central India and South Peninsula, and normal over Northeast India and Northwest India, and monsoon rainfall over the monsoon course zone, that is mainly that rain-fed agriculture over the central Indian belt. That also we expect that above normal rainfall likely to be over the region. Next slide. This is the first probability, spatial probability forecast we have issued, updated forecast we have issued in the in 31st May. And a normal to above normal rainfall is most likely over many areas of the northwest, central, and in northern part of the south peninsular India, and northern part of the east and northeast India, and some region where that is indicating that yellow and orange color, there is a chance for below normal rainfall is most likely over some areas of east central India and the southern part of the peninsular India also. Next slide, please. While updating our second forecast issued in the month of April, we have issued that monthly forecast for June also. As per the forecast, our forecast was normal to below normal over the northeast as well as southern South Peninsular India and some part of the central India, but many region in the central India and northwest India expect good rainfall. Next slide, please. We can now we can see look at what is the forecast we have issued in the month of June, as well as for the month of June, as well as the observed rainfall category. Based on that, in the left side panel, you can see that 3 category, that is green color is the normal, and blue is above normal, and orange color it is indicating that below normal. And right side, as I mentioned, that we have expected that below normal rainfall over the northeast India as well as the south peninsular India, but we received the south peninsular India. We have expected some below normal rainfall, that and some the central India part also it is came correct. And some region we have expected that above normal rainfall, that is over the peninsular India as well as northwest India, that also came correct. But the other region over the Gangetic Plains and other region, we received some. We have expected that below normal rainfall, above normal rainfall, but that is not came correct. Next slide, please. Now that probability forecast, rainfall forecast we have issued yesterday, that is for the month of July. We can see that in the as per the forecast, normal to above normal rainfall probability likely over some part of the North India, Central India, and most part of the South Peninsular India, and normal to below normal rainfall most likely over the East and Northeast India, adjacent areas of the East Central, and some part of the South Peninsular India. The rainfall during the July over the country as a whole likely to be normal. The long period average data for the July month is 280.4 millimeter. That is based on the data for 1971 to 2020. Next slide, please. Yeah, along with this, we are issuing that temperature forecast also, and here we can see that maximum and minimum temperature forecast for the month of July. We can see that most of the Central Indian region there is above normal maximum and minimum temperature is expecting, and South Peninsula and some the northern part of the region also getting that below normal maximum and minimum temperature. Next slide, please. Yeah, this is the summary. As I mentioned that the spatial distribution of the monsoon or rainfall suggests that good rainfall is likely to expect over the most part of the Indian region, and the SST as per the large scale drivers like La Nina condition is likely to continue, and over the Indian Ocean there is a chance for development of negative IOD, and IMD will issue the rainfall forecast for the month of August, as well as the second half of the season in the end of this month. Some more even extended range prediction also. This also another product we are Indian Meteorological Department is doing. Based on this also weekly 4-week forecast we will get, but that also indicating that very good rainfall over the central and most of the Indian region. And similarly, our another National Center for Medium Range Weather Forecasting, there that also another model we are using for the extended range guideline, that also indicating very good rainfall. And next slide, we have the forecast for next 5 days. Next slide, please. Yeah, next slide, we are giving that there are many warnings we are already issued today for many regions, especially in the Northwest India, as well as the Northeast part and South Peninsular India. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Srijit. Very insightful, interesting scientific data that you've presented to us. Two things that I've captured is that while overall above normal monsoon is expected, there are certain parts of India, especially in the east and central, where below normal rainfall is expected, which would of course have some impact on our pulses production. We'll of course come to the questions while we have certain questions already in the Q&A section. I would request all our audiences to keep sharing questions. We will take them up once these presentations are all over. I'm going to move on to our next speaker. We have Mr. Deepak Parekh, Chief Executive Officer from AgriWatch. He's going to give us the trade's perspective about Kharif sowing and expected production of pulses in the coming season. Mr. Parekh is a well-decorated technocrat honored as top 10 Agropreneur 2019 by Future Agro Challenge Greece and Technology Pioneer 2018 by the World Economic Forum Switzerland. He has also served as a member of the expert panel of the World Economic Forum on digital transformation. Mr. Parekh is an influencer in the blockchain and agtech domains, being a regular speaker, moderator, and evangelist. Mr. Deepak is CEO of AgriWatch, consulting firm that provides market intelligence, research, and advisory services across the agribusiness value chain. Thank you very much for being a part of our webinar, Mr. Parekh. We, the trade, and of course the government is quite dependent on the data that AgriWash shares regularly, and we look forward to information coming from your team. So, I request you to please take forward the presentation.
Thanks a lot. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are.
Perfect. So it's a great opportunity, and speaking after Malhotra ji is always difficult because, you are always calculating what he has just said, and the insight he presents always is is hugely very beneficial to everyone. So as you mentioned that AgriWatch, we are one of the largest data set outside the government, and we also track every possible commodity which is important to India, and definitely pulses as well. We all know that pulses 27% of global consumption, 25% of global production, 14% of import. It plays a very important role for India, as well as India plays a very important role globally when it comes to pulse. So definitely today we will be putting our perspective. Our views are a little bit contrary on various points, and that is what I believe the beauty of these type of events is, that different people brings in their own perspectives. So I would request for the presentation to be put on screen. Right, so we can straight away go to the second slide. So there are some basic updates. So if you see that past month has been good, the prices have been moving up. Definitely, that encourages the farmer. So we are seeing that the prices are going to be moving a little bit on the upper side for very simple reason that there is a slowdown in import, predominantly because what we are seeing globally in the dollar and rupee equation. So that is playing its part. We are also seeing restricted supply, specifically coming from a very important supplier, that is Burma or Myanmar, and there we are seeing that the prices would be inching a little bit upside. Right now, import is free, as we all know that, and Myanmar is still having roughly 1.25 lakh metric tons of crop, while new African crop, which we would be seeing that coming in August, would ensure that the prices would not be going too high. So we expect some improvement on current price, which is good news, because more farmer would have intention to go and grow tour. But at the same time, it is not going to be a big challenge. We can go to the next slide. So if you see SND, tour has been luckily is one pulse which has been doing pretty well for past couple of years, where we are not seeing too much of challenge because the stock to use ratio has always been around 17%, which is pretty fair and comfortable position. Not too much change over last year when it comes to whether it is the production or import or even the export of the milled or processed pulses. So overall, I'll say that tour is not going to give any nightmare to anyone. So a pretty decent crop. Let's move to the next slide, please. Here we see a little bit of, I'll say that decent upswing. For very simple reason is that there is depleting stocks, declining volume of imports, lower summer crop. Summer crop has not been that healthy as it used to be. At the same time, the stock of the government of India is also not very high. So we see the market expectation of area shift also from urad to other crop like paddy, corn, cotton, this Kharif, which we'll talk about the reason in the subsequent slides. And Myanmar, the leading urad supplier, still have stock of approximately 2.5 lakh metric ton. And the trade news is that NAFED would be procuring roughly 50,000 metric tons from Myanmar to enhance the buffer. Malhotra ji very rightly explained that this year the target of buffer is pretty decent, and this would help going forward in future. So keeping in view the prevailing domestic fundamentals and the prices in Myanmar, we believe that the prices would be firm in urad. Can we go to the next slide, please? Here, this is what you are seeing that the stock to use ratio has been a little bit of challenge last year, as well as in 2021-22 marketing season as well, where we are just around 10%. Here you see that we have the saving grace was import, which has increased nearly 80% from 2020-21 level to 2021-22 level. So roughly 2.5 lakh metric tons were imported, and that was the reason we had a comfortable situation when it comes to SND. Because the summer supplies have been low and the decline in the Kharif area, which we foresee, we see that the prices would be a little bit of a challenge to maintain. Next slide, please. Moong is a crop where actually we see that higher summer crop, especially like coming from MP, where we talk about from Bhopal and then down south closer to the border of Maharashtra, pretty decent crop coming up. Even Punjab had a higher summer outputs, and the stock is pretty good. And then actually we are also having import restrictions, and overall supply seems to be at a very comfortable position. We see the prices to be moving a little bit down south, and support can only come if the procurement by government is robust. Can we go to the next slide? So here we see that we are having pretty decent stock to use ratio of 27.41%, and it seems like Moong is not going to give any challenge to the government as well as the end consumer, but it might not be a go-to crop, especially for the farmers. And we see that in case southwest monsoon is not playing as but it should, then there could be some damages to the current harvesting of the late summer crop. So that is what looks like, and we are having pretty decent carry-in to start with, so comfortable position as far as Moong is concerned. Can we go to the next slide, please? So this is the reason actually when we say that we see a lot of farmers shifting from pulses to other crops. Over past couple of years, we have seen that the average return for farmers on pulses, and here we are talking about only 3 pulses, typically Tur, Moong and Urad, has been declining rapidly. And last year it was actually negative. And while when you compare it with cotton or spices or paddy or other crops, you see that the returns are far more. So when we did our own crop surveys or intention surveys, we found that farmers this year are not very upbeat about growing pulses. Spices also gave good returns, but this year again we see the spices suffering a little bit because of very high input cost and impact of disease which has been seen in some of the state. So in case we see that even if there is some disruptions in the monsoon, then farmers might move toward oilseed like soya or sesame rather than continuing with the pulses. Can we go to the next slide? So this is actually, you can see that we have projected returns of 3 crops which is in hand on the actual prices as well as returns on the MSP. In both, you'll see that except Moong, you are finding all of them are in negative zone. So this is making farmers a little bit edgy of whether they should continue cultivation of Tur or Urad, even in some cases Moong, because there also you see that there is a fall, but it has not gone negative, but still there is a fall in their returns when you compare it to last year. So can we go to the next slide? Now we go to state-wise. Next slide, please. Yeah. So state-wise also you'll find that major production centers, whether we talk about Maharashtra, Rajasthan and UP and even MP, you'll find that the farmers are having a better alternatives. And this is where they would like to utilize those alternatives and move to other crops. And you find some fall in the sowing area when it comes to pulses. Can we go to the next slide? So now this is, I am saying that this slide is very important for because it will define a lot of things. We have already seen in last month, the import parity, or disparity, right? Increasing because of increase in the value of dollar in compared to INR. And now dollar has got into the territory of uncertainty, and there upswing can be pretty steep. I believe government would be taking right measures to ensure that we don't see too much upside in dollar versus rupee equation. Otherwise, there would be challenge of even import for India. So the import parity will only be possible if domestic price moves up, or we see INR appreciating against dollar, as well as the international quotes need to be stable. So this is a very important thing which I believe all the traders need to keep an eye on going forward. Can you go to the next slide, please? Now, already we had expert talking about the monsoon. So I'll say that it is moving as per expectation, but I'll say that just little deficient. So we can go to the next slide. Yeah. Now, this is a little bit of a dangerous thing to see. When we see overall national perspective, So long period average looks pretty okay. 8%, -8% is not that bad. But when you go to the regions, there you start seeing the challenge, especially when we talk about pulses. Because when we see, like, while we are having more than the normal 32% in the east and northeast, in central and south peninsula, we are seeing, like, -30 and 14%, which is a little bit alarming when it comes to pulses, because this is the time where the farmers would be taking decision for sowing. Can we go to the next slide, please? So here also you see that, like, some of the catchment area of pulses, whether it is Rajasthan, whether it is Gujarat, Karnataka, as well as part of eastern part of Madhya Pradesh, we are seeing large deficit. Like, red means pretty dangerous territory to be in. And you see a lot of red when it comes to those areas which are catchment area for our pulse production. And I believe, like, if situation doesn't improve, like, next couple of weeks, you'll see a lot of shift and like, farmers moving to more robust crops like, oilseed, specifically soybean, in those areas from where we have pulses coming. We can go to the next slide, please. Now, this is our preliminary forecast based on our intention study, as well as the contextual data, whether, like, the procurement of the seed by the farmer, as well as, like, how many farmers would be moving. So we are seeing that, like, in Tuar, roughly 7% decline over past year. While we talk about the normal area, then it is like, we are just there. So Tuar, you'll see from last year, there would be -7%, like, or there would be decrease in the sowing area. Urad would be pretty steep. Again, like, we are talking about -14%, and Moong around 8%. Tuar only saving grace, which you see in the next slide, is that actually, like, we see the productivity improving in Tuar for sure. Can we go to the next slide, please? So when you see the production forecast, Tuar, we are looking at, like, will be as good as last year, right? And the saving grace, as you said, like, right sort of action to enhance the yields, and being a long-term crop of 6 months, the chances of negative impact of current monsoon situation would not be that bad on the crop. So because of the better yield, we see that, like, there would be at par as far as the production is concerned. For Urad, we see decline in production 13%, and same is with the Moong of, like, roughly 11.0%. Can we go to the next slide? Now, this is what we see the price direction and expectation for typically, like, short term, that is this month, and for the medium term. So Tuar, we see, like, it would be neutral with range bound trading in July of between 6,600 to 7,000, and similarly medium term 6,500 to 7,200. Urad, the fair quality, we are seeing it to be bullish from 7,400 to 7,800 on this month on a short-term basis, and 7,600 to 8,100 on a medium-term basis. And when it comes to Moong, we are partly bullish. I wouldn't say that very bullish, but partly bullish, where again we are seeing 6,600 to 7,000, and 6,700 to 7,100 would be the medium term. With that, actually, we can go to the last slide, and we thank all of you for like, hearing to what we wanted to say, and we believe government is taking a lot of great initiative, and IPGA is taking a lot of great initiative to generate a lot of interest in this crop, and India need to cultivate more pulses for sure, and also enhance the yields. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Parekh. Lot of interesting questions coming up thanks to your presentation. Next speaker is one of our very veteran representatives from the pulses sector, Mr. B. Krishnamurthy, Managing Director, 4P International, who has always been a part of our webinars, giving a very extensive view on the Urad crop, especially now that we've heard Mr. Parekh talk about the challenges that Urad is facing with depleting stocks, declining volume of imports, and especially new stock for the government. So let's hear from him, his views about the forthcoming Urad crop in terms of carry forward, quantities imported last year, sowing and acreage, and expected production this year. Mr. B. Krishnamurthy, we are all waiting to hear from you. Sir, you're on mute. Request you to unmute yourself, please.
Thank you for nice introduction, Sonia. We have been watching so many slides, so let me give just a verbal presentation. First of all, a very good evening to all of you. Let me thank first at the outset IPGA for giving me this opportunity to participate in this knowledge series webinar. Today's webinar is about Kharif sowing overview and monsoon outlook, and I have been asked to give my perspective on Urad. Before I come to my views on Urad, let me give a brief introduction and its uniqueness to the uninitiated. The first unique quality of Urad is that it has no substitute, unlike other pulses. For example, if Thor, which is known as pigeon peas, production falls short, and if it is not enough to meet the requirements of consumers, one can always shift to the alternatives like Monsoon, yellow peas, etc. But in the case of Urad, there is no substitute. That is why it is unique. Another very important uniqueness of Urad is that it's very good for our internal as well as external health. Like, for example, Urad bata can be used for application on skin as well as hair. Such external application, improves the health of both skin and hair. Similarly, it's very good for our internal health because this legume supplies excellent dietary fiber, vitamin B complex, copper, zinc, etc. And moreover, Urad is gluten-free. Therefore, it offers a very safe protein source. With so many benefits this pulse offers to the mankind, it will be a good idea to make daily consumption of Urad mandatory. Another uniqueness of Urad is that it is grown in just 2 countries only, namely India and Myanmar. No other country in the world it is grown on a commercial scale. Next, in India, Urad is grown as Rabi as well as Kharif crop. Kharif crop contributes substantially compared to Rabi, whereas in Myanmar, it is grown mainly as Rabi crop. One very interesting quality of Urad is that it is first converted into batter before the snack is prepared. The beauty is when it is converted into batter, the quantity turns to multifold. For example, every 1 kilo of Urad dal, when converted into batter, turns into 3 to 4 kg of batter. There is no pulse other than Urad having similar uniqueness. This special quality gives the consumer a very high value for his money and therefore offers a very competitive and cheap source of supply of food, which is good for both internal as well as external health. In today's world, where everybody is talking of food scarcity, upcoming food scarcity, etc., this commodity, this pulse offers a beautiful food to the public at a very, very competitive and cheap rates. With so many unique qualities, Urad stands out to be the best pulse available to the mankind from amongst the whole pulses complex. Now let me come to the main topic. Southwest monsoon, consisting of 4 months beginning in June, has just finished 1 month. Kharif crop is sown once monsoon starts. Kharif Urad is sown typically from 10th June to 15th July in different states of North India, Northwest India, and Central India. As the southwest monsoon progresses from Kerala typically on June 1 and ending at the tip of Rajasthan typically by July 15th. This year, as on today, the 1st of July, as per the data just made available, Urad sowing is marginally lower at 3.45 lakh hectares compared to the last year's 3.79 lakh hectares. Therefore, the shortfall, which was a hefty 50% last week, has just disappeared with the progress of monsoon. Typically, for the last 5 years, Urad has been sown on 35 to 45 lakh hectares across states in North India, Northwest India, and Central India. I'm very sure as we move towards July 15, sowing will have substantially picked up. I personally feel that the current prices of Urad are very attractive to the farmers after the recent sudden spike in prices by about ₹10 per kilo, and they are enthused to not to divert to other crops like soya, cotton, etc. My idea is they will not divert, although there are so many speculations that people are saying that farmers will shift to other crops like cotton, etc. But I think they won't shift because the prices are very attractive to the farmers. 2022 year, from the day Rabi was harvested beginning in March, prices of urad have been consistently fetching the farmers a price which is above the MSP. This is a very encouraging trend for the farmers. Normally, many occasions, farmers don't get MSP rates. I'm very optimistic about urad Kharif prospects, taking into consideration that IMD projected 103% rainfall of long period average in this Kharif season. In fact, IMD predicts above normal rainfall in July, August, and September. This prediction of IMD has been confirmed or corroborated by Japanese National Weather Forecaster, also Jansted, who predicted similar above normal rainfall in July, August, and September, although with regional variations in actual precipitation. That is as per the media reports. Having said this, I must also say that I am a little worried that this projected above normal rainfall in July, August, and September could damage the standing crops of urad, as the harvesting begins towards beginning of September and ends towards the beginning of October. Let me hope, therefore, and pray that these above normal rains, especially in September, won't damage the standing crops and won't harm the farmers' interests. While being here, I must tell my observation that during the last few years, standing urad crops are often damaged by excessive rains in the month of September. I request the concerned agricultural research authorities to work on quality of seeds so that they resist the negative impact of such excessive rains, because these excessive rains normally damage the quality of the seed, which in turn fetches very low rate for the farmer. Therefore, they should be working on quality of seeds so that this such negative impact is substantially reduced. Simultaneously, I also request the concerned meteorological department authorities to consider whether the southwest monsoon period be considered from July to October instead of June to September. Nowadays, we find that the rainfall pattern has been changing. Therefore, maybe the concerned authorities should consider shifting this southwest monsoon period from June to September to July to October. As regards the stock status for urad for the year 2021-22, we were having an opening stock of about 2.5 to 3 lakh tons. Then we had production of about 27 lakh tons, together Rabi and Kharif. Then we had about 6 lakh tons of imports from Myanmar. And putting all this together, we had enough stocks for domestic consumption. And I personally feel there won't be any shortages. Further, my view is stocks of urad at Myanmar as of today are comfortable. I put the figure at 4 lakh tons or above. I disagree with some analysts who say that the stocks at Myanmar are as of 2.5 lakh tons. In my opinion, it should be 4 lakh tons or more. While at production of urad, as I said before, Kharif crop size is substantially higher as compared to Rabi. Rabi crop is grown in just 2 southern states only, namely Andhra and Tamil Nadu. I request the concerned governmental authorities to see if we can grow Rabi urad in more states to enhance the crop size, which will enable the country to reduce dependence on imports, thereby save precious foreign exchange. We have been dependent on imports from Myanmar for imports of urad because the domestic crop size has been inadequate, although domestic crop size has been growing steadily up. In order to have higher and consistent availability, we need to have stable import policies. Therefore, I request the authorities for stable and consistent import policy, which will enhance and result in consistent supplies. I now conclude my perspective with a positive view that the price scenario of urad would be prevailing in such a way that they will continue to be attractive to the farmers, while at the same time, they won't be unusually costly to the consumer. I thank again IPGA for the opportunity given to me for the views. I thank again. I will take any questions and will try my best to reply. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think that was a very wholesome perspective on urad. We would, of course, now move to our next panelist, Mr. Vikram Thakkar, Managing Director, Hariom Industries, Visa, Gujarat. Mr. Thakkar, thank you very much for joining us today. You are probably speaking in our webinar for the first time, and Mung definitely is an interesting crop. With the restrictions, import restrictions currently on, and as Mr. Parekh mentioned, From the prices, there are always concerns. We would like to hear from you about the overall supply and inputs about the crop per se, from a Kharif point of view. Mr. Thakkar, as I mentioned, is a managing director of Hariom Industries with excellent business skills and highly experienced in agribusiness. He has an exemplary knowledge of mung and other pulses processing. He is actively involved in all the operational aspects. And Mr. Thakkar is also monitoring global market trends specific to mung beans. So we would love to hear from him about the global trade. Thank you, Mr. Thakkar, for joining us. Kindly, please take forward your presentation.
Thank you, Sonia ji. Good evening, everyone. Thanks IPGA for giving me an opportunity, to share my knowledge with all of you. So let's start with the information regarding Kharif sowing overview, especially on green mung beans. Next. Mung is majorly used for human consumption due to their easily digestible nature. They are appropriate for people of every age. They can be either cooked or sprouted for the consumption. As the rest of their human nature value, they witness a rise in its demand. India is the largest producer and consumer of green mung beans in the world. Next. 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 Here is the crop cycle of mung beans in India. In India, mung is cultivated in 3 different seasons like Kharif, Rabi, and summer. However, primary mung is Kharif season crop. The crop needs high temperature, less humidity, and moderate rainfall. As we can see, that the Kharif season is showing starts from the month of July to August, and the harvesting starts from the month of September to October. As this is the sowing period for the mung in India, attractive price and sudden increase in MSP, sowing also increase year on year basis. Next. Here is the state-wise sowing season of mung beans in India. As we can see that the major state sowing starts in the Kharif season. In India, major production of the green mung beans starts at state are Rajasthan, Karnataka, and Maharashtra. Next. This is the value chain of the commodity. Nowadays, there are import is banned, restricted in India. Next. Here the state-wise production scenario of green mung beans. We can say that the Rajasthan is the leading among the other state with the approx 60% of production. Next. This is the overall data of mung production in India from the year 2006 to 2022 in lakh tons. Next. Raising awareness. Previous. Raising awareness among the farmers regarding the modern farming method, particularly in the emerging nation like India, is leading the improved cultivation and the high yield of green mung beans. Growing government support aid the farmers with the launch of the several programs and the subsidy policy in the expectation to contribute the industry growth significantly. For the year 2022-23, MSP is increased 7 to 75 to 7755. Due to MSP increase, MSP price increase, India is now self-sufficient. It means Atmanirbhar in mung beans production. Next. Let's move the monthly price volatility. As shown in the above graph, a suddenly import restricted by government in February, price of green mung started increase from the month of February. Every year, price of mung increase in the month of March to April. As summer crop started coming, price get bottom out in the month of June. Let's see the price. Digit 6200 is best price to take entry in the mung for the near future. Next. Here is the domestic trade volume of green mung beans. As per the global analysis, aids by the increased production demand from the vegan population and growing trials to develop enhanced production formulas. Next. This is the weather forecast. The very first sector get impact is the agriculture sector by monsoon. This is going to be normal monsoon. This year monsoon is similar to the last year, as this is also El Nino year 2. Next. There are main state of mung sowing where weather is not much favorable till 26 June 2020. Below here we can see very less rainfall till today in pulses sowing sector. Next. Price factor and opportunity for upcoming years. Factor affecting price: any change in mung beans import policy by government, insufficient rainfall at the maturity period affect the overall production, price of the other competitive pulses, obstruction in information movement, and the opportunity are any value addition will done in the near future, industries get boost too. The market is expected to grow at the 4.5% between 2020-21 and 26 to reach 4.2 million tons by 2026. Overall world consumption also increased after the COVID-19 too. Next. Near future price trade in green mung beans. As we all know, weather is ahead this summer. Gujarat, Punjab and MP crop is excellent too. Due to inflation concern, government is also monitoring price so neatly over here in India. Gujarat crop is almost completed. Only MP and Punjab crop is available in market. Mung price is for polish quality is around 6,000 to 6,200 rupees per quintal in Madhya Pradesh. Down trade is very limited as market rate are already down 12% from the MSP, and on the upper hand, if any delay in monsoon during the month of the August, we can see significant jump in around the 8 to 10%. Else price will be in one range 5,900 to 6,700. As cotton, soybean, castor, guar and other cattle feed price are very high, farmer will divert to other crop than mung. Next. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Vikram Thakkar. We will come back to you with certain questions. Our audiences have already put questions in the Q&A box. We'll come back to you for that. We are moving on to our next speaker, Mr. Avinash Bhalla, Chief Executive Officer, GHB Group. Mr. Bhalla is going to talk to us about the prospects of the fourth crop, and in terms of carry forward stocks, quantities imported from last year, sowing and acreage, and expected production this year. Mr. Bhalla, as I mentioned, looks after the business and development and financial management of the GHB Group. GHB Group has diversified portfolio with agribusiness as the core, and Mr. Bhalla is an enthusiastic, self-motivated person with vast experience in knowledge of finance, cost and financial management matters. He's the fellow member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. Mr. Bhalla, looking forward to your presentation, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Sonia. Please presentation. Yes. Good evening, everyone. Before commenting on the prospectus of tuber crop, next, we would like to have some key areas to be looked into. Next slide. Key areas to be looked into. In our opinion, the core point of concern to comment on the prospect of tubers are monsoon status, sowing status, historical production of tubers, carry forward stocks, and imports and policies. Let's go one by one. Next slide. To understand the effect of monsoon for current year, we have drawn a table deficiting current status of monsoon and also historical monsoon data comparison. Let's understand the table and its impacts. Current and historical monsoon. Maharashtra and Karnataka are the major poor producing state in India. Hence, the monsoon of those states are very crucial to understand. Let's go to the charts. We show monsoon in 2 states and pan India in the month of June for last 5 years, along with the production and sowing for respective years. The above charts show when there is a deficit in rainfall in June, then the area under cultivations and production of those years get down between the range of 10 to 20%. Thus, this year, the current monsoon in both the states and also pan-India monsoon is showing deficit. The effect of this deficit will have negative impact on the production and sowing area of tuber for this year. We expect that now onward, if monsoon come fairly for the crop, then also the production will fall down by around 10%. Next. Now, after knowing current monsoon position in India, now let's look for another factor which will also make us understand the prospect of tuber in future. As you all know, tuber is a long duration crop that is 180 days. Pulses variety grown mainly in Karnataka, Maharashtra and other states. Maharashtra, Karnataka and Telangana has a more than 65% share in tuber production of India, as per Economic Survey report of 2021-22. Below we should see the current sowing status as on 24/6/2020. Here is the current year sowing position as on 24/6/2022 as per government data, which is 2.35 lakh hectare versus 5.21 lakh hectare of last year for the same period, which clearly shows that sowing lagging behind by almost 55% as compared to the last year. Just today's latest updated sowing position as on 13/6/2022 has been received today also, show that the deficit is sowing by around 13%. Next. To understand the impact of above data, I have prepared data of sowing last 7 years related to June month. This will give us a clear picture about the lagging of sowing of June for current year. Sowing status in 3rd week of June for last 7 years. Out of the 7 years, the sowing of 3 years is very low. Production figure of corresponding year shows decline in the production of tuber. If you recall our last slide, there is a deficit in monsoon in the year 2018 and 19. And the sowing for those 2 years respectively are also in deficit. And the overall impact on the production was also negative. If monsoon come properly from now onward, still we expect there will be shortfall in sowing around 7 to 10%. Next. Let's go to the historical data to analyze the productions level of tuber of last 7 years. After going to the data and chart, one can easily find that average production of last 5 years is 40.36 lakh tons. And average acreage of last 5 years is 46.14 lakhs hectares. On the basis of above analysis and other correlated factors, we expect 7 to 10% decline in production of this year, which may range between 36.32 lakhs to 37.53 lakhs ton. Next slide. Now, now we are presenting one more matrix which showing the carry forward stock position from 16-17 to 2020-21. From this table, you go to know that carry forward stock for 2022, which is 5.48 lakh tons. In next slide. Next slide. Yes. Hold. The main focus of the industries has largely on the stock movement position for 2022. We have prepared a matrix presenting the stock analysis of the year 2022. Gross production has been considered at 39 lakh ton as compared to the government third advance estimate of 43.50 lakh tons. Because in our opinion, the impact of heavy rainfall and erratic weather condition, higher sowing could not be converted into good crop. Out of the gross production, we have deducted 12.5% as a provisions for seeds, feeds, and wastages. This has been considered on the basis of economic survey report of 21-22. Thereby, we arrive at the net production of 34.12 lakh tons. The carry forward available from 21 to 22 was 5.48 lakh tons. Next. Import between January to June as per government agency is 3.9 lakh tons. And expected imports for further period from July to December is 4 lakh tons. This is because mainly of two reasons: arrival at African crop between this period, that is July to December's government commitment to various countries under MOU. Thus, the total import for 2022 will be around 7.9 lakh tons. As per market perception, the consumption of India is around 44 lakh tons. These are on the rising side due to the opening of travel and tourism industries and also hospitality industries after COVID restrictions. Thus, stock which we carry forward to 2023 is around 3.5 lakh tons. Import policies related to tuber. Import is and was always being the great tool for the government to curb the price of commodity. Considering the drastic rise in prices in 2020, the government has come into action with the target to curb the prices of tuber. Thereby, in the last more than 18 months, government has come up with more than 20 notifications of the guidelines, helping government to reduce the prices of pulses. During this last 18 months, government has taken following actions related to import of tuber. Import status of tuber has been changed from restricted to free, has been extended to 31/3/2023. Extended MOU with Mozambique of 2 lakh ton annually for 5 years. New MOUs with Malawi and Myanmar for import of 50,000 tons and 1 lakh tons per annum till 2025. Thus, considering the above fact into consideration, we expect around 4 lakh tons for remaining period of year imports, which has been considered in our carry forward stock working also. Now, let's have a look at the next slide. Now, let's have a look at the technical chart of Akola ability from 2015 to till date. Next slide. We think that the impact of the fundamental factor must get represented in the technical price chart of the commodity. Let's throw some light on the technical analysis to the extent of our knowledge and study. The main three phases of commodities are accumulations, wait and watch, distributions. These are the main phases of agricultural commodity because it has a yearly cycle, and on this factor we are going to present our convictions. We observe that average price while accumulation is greater than average price while distributions, and high shown during accumulation has not broken during distribution phase. Its clear-cut indicate bearish trend. I want to mention here that high achieved during the accumulation for this season is 6,800. And if in forthcoming months price break this high successfully, then trend will be reversed from bearish to bullish. Just for your reference, we are sharing Fibonacci retracement level that is below. Now let's consolidate our data, discussion and observation and expectation together. Next slide. We have segregated the same into bullish factors and bearish factor. The surge in the price of bullish factors are the surge in the price of competing crop like soybean and cotton has made more less favorable amongst the farmer. Past experiences suggest that the farmer shift to the commodities toward to high prices commodity, which result in low production of tuber. Delayed or negative monsoon in major tuber growing states like Maharashtra and Karnataka resulting in low sowing. Low carry forward stock of tuber, low procurement by governments, and even the buffer stock of tuber is too low. Increase in consumption of pulses with opening of travel and tourism industries and also growth in the hospitality industries. This can be realized from the fact that this year, many long duration vacation bookings were done by families itself. Bearish factors, free import policy for tour up to March 2023. Inconsistent government's policy related to pulses. Low prices of other commodities making people to shift consumption from tour to that low price commodities. Free distribution of pulses by government to people at large under various schemes. Now we will present our concluding remarks. Going forward, next slide. Going forward, IMD has forecasted normal monsoon. So as of now, we expect 7 to 10% shortfall in production figures. Possibilities of farmers shifting to lucrative crop like cotton, soybean cannot be denied, considering the past experiences. India is still tight on tour inventories. Import policy for tour is open as of now, but in future, changes in policy by government will have impact on the prices of tour. Long-term prices forecast depend on the import from African countries and forthcoming monsoon. Our expectation toward price range may be between 6,700 to 7,200 for the medium term. Thank you. Thanks, Sonu.
Thank you, Mr. Bhala. Very much insightful data on tour over there. We definitely have a lot of questions, and we're going to open up the questions. So please feel free to share your questions. I'm going to take them up from the chat box. Few questions to start with. One of the main question for Dr. Malhotra, most of our panelists have spoken about this, and this has been a concern for the trade also, that farmers shifting from pulses to other crops. So what would you say and recommend the government's role in, stopping this or encouraging the farmers to continue with the pulse sowing, especially with these challenges that we are seeing here currently? Could you just guide us and throw some light on this?
Yeah, in fact, this has happened for pulses. I agree with you, and the observation given by our expert seems to be correct to some extent, because these are the crops of arid and semi-arid ecosystem, which are totally dependent on the rain-fed ecosystem. And if we get the good monsoon, we get the good yield. It's obvious, everybody knows. But the three sectors of the cereals I would like to mention here. One is not cereals, but crops, I should say, because oilseeds also I'm going to discuss. One is pulses, another one is millets, third one is oilseeds. These all are the crops during Kharif season grown in the arid ecosystem, and they have a competition in between. So they have a kind of competition. Sometimes if rates are high for soybean, people will go for soybean. If rates are good for sesame, then again they will go for this one. And then again, how the area will come. So somewhere they are going to compete with some other crops. So it has happened in few states for pulses also. I agree to this. So competition is always between these three sectors, I would like to mention here. So here, another point is sustainability and etc. You have also mentioned government is also having the plan that yes, we need to have diversification, but diversification should happen without replacement of the area with any other thing also. So here efforts are now to target the rice fallow area. Rice fallow area remains unutilized, and it has been already mapped around 4 million hectare area. Out of this 4 million hectare area, in the northeastern region as well as in the eastern regions particularly, where we get less output. But anyway, those if we get some kind of yield, that will be a kind of bonus for the farmers. So new program that has been already started by Government of India targeting rice fallow area. So here we don't want to replace the crop with the area, but new areas and new pockets are required to be identified, and that mapping has been already done through the satellite system. So here 7 eastern states have been identified, and that plan is now being implemented. Another is through intercropping. So intercropping, again, you are not going to replace any crop. So here through intercropping in between the two rows, pulses could be grown, and that is being promoted. And last year, in few of the crops, we got some about 1 lakh hectare area was also covered, and that added to about 80,000. Yeah, it's a 78,000 something figure was there. Metric ton extra yield came for one of the crop. So as I'm not sure which was that one. So these all are the practices, and crop diversification plan also Government of India has made. So these all are the vulnerable points where sometimes we are stuck, because these are the crops which are sometimes at the end, when crop is at the maturity stage, we get the effect of this viral diseases, particularly mosaic virus. And that mosaic virus sometimes badly affected, as it happened in case of Mung also last year. So there was little reduction. I have given an answer in the chat box also. You can see, because few of our colleagues, they have asked the questions, and I have given 7-8 replies here in the question answer section. That could also be seen. So this is a broadly speaking, this is my observation. Just I am telling, but I agree with Deepak ji, because we have a little bit some kind of, I should say, not conflicting. I should say, I mean some kind of, where your observations are different and my observations are different, because we look from the production angle, and you come out with the figures from your own market survey and all other things. But there are many other overlaps in between. Sometimes those are also overlooked, and we could not account for. So this also happens. But anyway, these all are the vulnerable crops and very sensitive crops. If there is any kind of shortfall, yeah, please, Deepak ji.
Sir, we are the extension of government only, sir. We are just like, आप optimistic रहते हैं, हम थोड़ा pessimism लाते हैं, तो बीच के अंदर देश का भला हो जाता है.
But anyway, we have to go by the figures whatsoever are available with us. But you look from different angle, we look from different angle. But your observations are good. I know AgriWatch has provided a great support to us for doing calculations for onion, for potato, and now for pulses as well you are doing. Thank you so much. We acknowledge your contribution.
So I'll come back to you. I think Mr. Krishnamurthy has something to say. Go ahead, Mr. Krishnamurthy.
Sir, my question to Dr. S.K. Malhotra, sir. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Krishnamurthy ji, you have made a very good presentation. Very critical points you have already given. Please continue.
Sir, my question is this, sir. I wanted to know why the buffer stock of wood has come down so low, sir. As per the media reports, now the buffer stock of wood is not even 20,000 tons.
Yeah. Here, government has again limitations where to stock it. We need to have a sufficient storage facilities. Okay. And again, demand, considering the past demand from the different states under that PSS and PSF scheme. According to all figures are worked out, and then these prescribed limits are fixed for these buffer stocks.
Okay, sir. One more thing, sir. Now, just now you mentioned about the buffer stocks which the government is contemplating to maintain. For what you said 4 lakh tons, sir, if I'm not wrong.
Quintal, I think it was a slip of the tongue. It is ton.
Okay, it was 4 lakh tons.
Yes, I have already given reply to your.
Okay. No, I have not seen. Thank you.
I have given 6-7 replies in the question answer session.
Okay.
Yeah, please.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Sir, one more thing, sir. Say, we always observe with this September rains. They cause a lot of havoc, sir. What is there any remedy for this? Because maybe it is a long-term solution. Maybe we should improve the quality of the seed of wood to withstand this sort of negative impact, or what's the please guide, sir?
Well, Mr. Krishnamurthy, I'll be in a position to little add into it, because now you see the position of June month till today. I mean, only yesterday we received the good rains in the northeastern region and northwest region, northern region. So this time, this sowing is going on with a little slow, and now it will pick up. and we have a long sowing window available with us. So if it is sown in the first week of July, second week of July, then there will not be a problem. By the time September comes, our mung will be ready, and urad in some areas it will be ready. Then again, sometimes what happens if we receive heavy rain in the month of September, that badly affects the crop, because these are the crops from arid ecosystem. They cannot tolerate waterlogging condition for a longer period. So sometimes, as it has been noticed in case of soybean also, similar thing is applicable for soybean also. Though it is oilseed, not a pulses crop, partially we say that yes, it is fulfilling our protein requirement, and it is supplementing pulses also. Okay.
Okay. Sir, I'm really worried, sir, because, you know, even Jamstack is predicting that we will have huge rains in the month of September, sir.
Yes, it has been predicted.
Yeah.
But again, if you will go critically and if you will go minutely, you will find that heavy rainfall will be in some other sector, which is the eastern region, and which is eastern region is not major pulses growing belt. So here moderate rains will be there in the areas which we say where is Maharashtra, Rajasthan, Gujarat, little, and then there are some shadow areas in Tamil Nadu. I don't speak about that one. Sometimes risk situation that prevails in that area. But Andhra Pradesh and Telangana also, few belts are there which are considered as shadow. So this all depends upon that how rain moves. Let us see, because long sowing window is available with us. So it is little early to predict anything right now.
Okay. No, we are not worried about Andhra, Tamil Nadu, Telangana, etc., sir. We are only worried about mainly central India and the northwest, and then
Maharashtra particularly.
Maharashtra, yes. Mainly Madhya Pradesh is the king of
Madhya Pradesh also, correct.
Madhya Pradesh is the king, followed by Rajasthan and Gujarat and Maharashtra. So we are worried about those 4 states. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We'll come back to you. We have a question for Dr. Srijit from Mr. Gangadhar. His question is, what will be the impact of IOD on monsoon? Any specific states under concern?
Actually, yeah, I can talk about that. IOD is a negative that is predicted in many models, but unlike positive IOD, negative IOD won't affect that mainly that central India and other major part of the rain-fed region. Only South India and some southern part of the peninsular India, and some pockets only we can see that impact mainly. And another thing is that whenever that La Nina condition is there, there is a chance for development of negative IOD is also there. But as far as atmospheric response is concerned, that there is no very good, only sea surface temperature it is there that slightly that over the IOD threshold, but convection is not responded to that SST warming. So so there is not much impact we are expecting with IOD. But La Nina, that is most of the models are indicating even that atmospheric respond to that Pacific temperature also is consistently, that is convection is below normal convection is there in that region. So there is not much concern about negative IOD till date.
So there's one more question for you from Mr. Ajit Kumar. How do we judge monsoon outlook based on Indian Ocean Dipole Index and Oceanic Nino Index? If we see both are negative currently, and with this information, how do we judge the monsoon forecast?
Yes, that Nino 3.4 is negative. That is very good for, that is the threshold, as I told, that is the threshold for La Nina condition. That is good for rainfall, as well as the negative IOD, as I mentioned, that is slightly that may affect, but that is not not affect to many regions.
I have a question, sir, Dr. Srijit.
Yes.
Sir, do you anticipate any cloud bursting, etc., in the month of September in Madhya Pradesh or Rajasthan or Gujarat?
Sir, we have to consider, we are issuing that monthly outlook for average rainfall. but we cannot predict weather well in advance. We can, average scenario we can predict. But
Sir, is it a new phenomenon that this cloud bursting? Yes,
that is not a new phenomena that is expecting in anywhere in the globe because of the global warming, that moisture holding capacity of the atmosphere is increasing. Because of that global warming scenario, this type of intense rainfall for few hours, that is increasing. As per if you see that last 30 years climatology also, we have prepared that climatology for each state. So all the state we have prepared that rainfall variability. In that report, moderate and light rains are reducing, and heavy and extremely are increasing. That trend is indicating everywhere, not only in India, all over the globe. That is the scenario. That is why.
Sorry, I am intervening in between. So I would like to just add into it. Cloud burst never occurs in the plain areas. Cloud burst only occurs in the hilly regions. Particularly Himachal Pradesh, Jammu Kashmir, we have never seen the report. Uttarakhand also. These are the two states which are prone to the cloud burst. You will never find any report of cloud burst in pulses growing areas. Need not to worry.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Mainly that is in orography is also playing very good role, as sir mentioned. That is cloudburst, another.
No, sir. Actually, no, sir. In Tamil Nadu last year, if I'm not wrong, I think this year or last year, within the last 10 months, in Chennai, we had received a huge rain in 3 hours. The whole city was flooded.
Yeah, that is happening everywhere, mainly because of.
What I'm saying is, it's happening in plain areas also, not only in hilly areas.
Yeah,
it is happening in plain areas. This is what I'm trying to try.
So you should say heavy rain, not the cloud burst.
Sir, within 3 hours, the whole city is flooded, sir. And there was no warning.
Okay,
there was no warning by IMD.
Shirijit can better give reply to this.
I'm asking
expert in
as far as cloudburst is, definition is 100 millimeter per hour, 3 hour and on. That type of thing is not happening. But somewhere we are in scientific community, we are telling about mini cloudburst. That is not in the category of cloudburst, but that also affecting many area for local flooding and other things. So that type of scenarios we can see observed in many areas, but we cannot predict that well in advance. Only with few hours, that is 3 hours advance, we can predict better with Doppler radar and other. Nowcasting will help for that one.
Okay.
So I think we have a lot of concerns from the traders here, and I'm going to direct this question to Mr. Bimal Kothari, the chairman of IPGA. Sir, the question for you is that with the above normal monsoon expected overall and certain below normal rainfall in parts like East and Central India, what is the likely impact on prices? And we have a question from an attendee who wants to know, as a trader, which crop we should trade then?
Well, yeah, you see, as we have been hearing from our expert panelists, that for the Kharif crop, like tuar, urad and moong, we are not going to see a large impact on the production. When I'm saying the large impact, means we are not going to see much downtrend. There might be few percentage here or there, and they have predicted the numbers also. So in fact, I agree with their views, the numbers what they have given. For urad, I think around 7,500 to 8,000 rupees in midterm, and tuar around 6,400 to 7,000 rupees. So, and moong beans around 7,000 rupees. So I think if you look at the prices of pulses in last few months, we have been talking to the government authorities, that you see the role of pulses in the inflation has been very negligible. This is one commodity where the government of India can be, they can be complacent as far as the inflation is concerned, inflation numbers are concerned. because there is hardly any role of the pulses as commodity in the inflation. So I see that prices would be range bound, and if the monsoon, as we are hearing, now heard from our experts and Dr. Suji, that we are going to see a good activity of the monsoon in the growing areas. So I think we are going to see a good crop, and as I say, that the prices would be range bound. It is not going to go down very sharply, and it is also not going to go up very up. So as far as the last question, that what commodities, what pulses you should trade in. In fact, we are not going to discuss all these things on the webinar. Of course, you have to take your own call on this, given on the expert advice by our panelists. So you need to decide on the same. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We have a couple of questions on urad stock in Myanmar. Mr. Krishnamurthy, what is your estimate FAQ and SQ urad crop stock in Myanmar? Can you please answer that?
My estimate is, Myanmar should be having, as of today, at least 4 lakh tons total, of which roughly around 37 to 38% will be SQ, and the balance 63 to 62% will be FAQ. That means roughly, let us say, out of 4 lakh tons, which is my view, if Myanmar is holding 4 lakh tons of black matte, of which approximately 140,000 should be SQ and 260,000 tons should be FAQ.
Okay. We have a question on Tur. How much opening stock of Tur does India have, and what's the balance stock at Myanmar? Somebody wants to know that I'm holding 3,000 tons of Tur stock. What is the future rate? Mr. Bhalla, can you answer this question, please? So you're on mute.
Pardon?
Sorry?
Pardon?
Do you want me to repeat the question?
Yes, yes.
Question on Tur. How much opening stock of Tur does India have and balance stock at Myanmar? And they want to also know what is the kind of rates expected going forward for Tur.
As per my metrics, opening stock of Tur is 5.48 tons, lakh tons. And in Burma, as Mr. Deepak Parekh told, 1.25 lakh tons Burma pigeon peas lying there. And the price range I am expecting in medium term is 6,700 to 7,200. And in that's it.
Okay. We've already answered the impact of negative IOD. How much Tur production is expected in Africa in the coming season? Mr. Parekh or Mr. Bhalla, one of you can take up this.
Mr. Parekh is better.
Mr. Parekh, any data on this?
Ma'am, currently I'm not having the data handy with me.
Okay.
So I don't want to speculate.
Sure, we can of course come back to them.
But I'll mention, I'd like to mention last year India has imported 8.4 lakh tons as per the data released by DGFT Government of India. This is for the financial years. Out of this 8,40,000 metric tons during the last financial year, the total import, most of the import has come from Africa. There was a because last year the production in Myanmar was not so good. What I remember, it was about 1.25 to 1.5 lakh tons. So considering the production in Myanmar, I think the total import from Africa was in somewhere around 6.5 lakh to 7 lakh tons. That was during the last financial year. I won't be able to give the numbers for this current year, but what we are hearing, the crops are good. They are also expecting a good crop, and the prices were good. They got good price for their crop. Unless there are any weather issues, I think we are going to see another large import of tuor from Africa during August to November. This is what is my view.
Okay, thank you, sir. Mr. Parekh, there's a question from you from Amit Shukla. He's asked, you mentioned in your presentation that NAFED is gearing to buy urad from Burma for buffer stock. He also wants to know your source, as this news is going to make urad prices more bullish.
No, the question is that you want to know the source.
So basically he wants to understand this a little more in depth.
Pretty strong source, I'll say that. I would believe 99% of this.
Yeah.
That's the probability.
Okay. Mr. Gagandeep wants to know what are your views for minimum support price on pulses? If I can request Dr. Malhotra to answer this. Dr. Malhotra, are you there? Okay. Anybody else from the panel who would like to take this question? Views on minimum support prices for pulses.
What does he want to know?
The question is your views on minimum support prices on pulses.
See, if you are talking about the minimum support price as being announced by the government of India, the whole idea behind the minimum support price is to support farmers. The government is supposed to procure certain percentage of the crop, and you must have seen during this year in case of chana, government has already procured 2.6 million tons of chana till the last report what we have received about 10 days back. So the whole idea about the minimum support price is to support the farmers, and so that they keep on growing the crops and secure the India's production of agriculture producers, because it's just not in case of pulses. For all the commodities we have seen the minimum support price, and this has been there for decades, and which we have seen in case of from rice and wheat and sugar and so on. So this is the whole idea behind the minimum support price. I don't know what is any specific query about the minimum support price. Then I think any of the panelists can take this question.
Sir, it was very generic. The other question that one of the audiences asked is about the reason for low demand of all pulses in the market and how it can be enhanced.
Maybe Mr. Chandra, Mr. Krishnamurthy or Mr. Vikram Thakkar, and on the specific pulses, on the specific demand of the specific pulses, or Avinash Bhalla, if they can highlight.
Yeah, for urad I can answer. See, the demand has not been really great for urad dals from the markets, although the prices have shot up by some 8 or 10 rupees in the last 1 month. But the lack of willingness to buy from the wholesalers and retailers is quite visible. We are only trying to understand what exactly is the reason for this sort of lackluster demand. In a period of 12 months, we normally experience a good demand only for maybe maximum 2 to 3 months. So balance 9 or 10 months will be very, very dull and then lackluster. As far as urad is concerned, I think as a tongue-in-cheek remark, I can say if China starts consuming urad, I think the urad will go sky high. Otherwise, this just goes on like this. Luckily for us, China doesn't consume urad, but if they start consuming urad, then I think then the prices will shoot up, and then the demand will shoot up.
There is a question for on Moong. So if Mr. Thakkar, if you're still there with us, the participant wants to know what is the status of Moong purchase by MP government, and when is it likely to happen?
Still, government is not clearly declared that when they will be by. Mr. Manoj, can reply that answer.
You would like Mr. Bhalla to talk about this? Mr. Thakur, you were not clear.
No, I am not clear that. It's matter of government. So when it will be start, we can't say.
Mr. Bhalla, can you hear me, Mr. Bhalla?
Mr. Bhalla is on mute.
Mr. Deepak Parekh can.
Yeah, I'm Mr. Bhalla, Bimal Kothari here.
Yeah.
आप हिंदी में बात कर सकते हैं. Can you speak in Hindi?
Yeah.
हाँ, तो आप हिंदी में बताइए.
मूंग के लिए.
हाँ, मूंग के लिए. मूंग की बिक्री कम क्यों है? आप मूंग की मार्केट का ओवरव्यू क्या आप हिंदी में बताइए.
नहीं, मूंग की पोजीशन के क्रॉप काफी अच्छा आया हुआ इस साल और समर क्रॉप भी काफी अच्छा है. तो मूंग की बिक्री कम नहीं है, क्रॉप ज्यादा है.
Question is that when government will be start the buying?
नहीं, yet government has not declared. अभी खरीदी चालू नहीं की है, डिक्लेयर नहीं किया है कब से खरीदी करता है.
Yes, when will
That's right.
No one can say when government will start.
Okay. There's a question on GST. Any impact of recent GST changes can be seen in the market?
GST we will know only when the notification is issued. Till the notification comes, we will know. There will be confusion till the government notification is issued. See, if you go through the press release issued by the government of India, they have used the words food grains, including cereals. They have not mentioned specifically pulses. So at the moment, there is no GST on unregistered brands for urad dal. I mean, I'm not. But if they wanted to impose 5% GST on all brands, whether it is registered or unregistered, I think we need to wait for notification. It is at the moment they have not mentioned the word pulses clearly, but there is one mention of pulses. There is one mention of the word pulses in the press release, but that is connected to the machinery used for processing and grading of pulses, not for dals as such. So I suspect we need to wait till the notification is over. Is issued by the government. It is coming into force from 18th of July. So we need to wait for another 2 weeks for the notification.
Sir, Mr. Krishnamurthy, this is again a question for you. As urad import parity is higher than domestic prices, how much urad can be imported in India and how will it impact the market? See, imports from Myanmar have been very, very lukewarm during the last 3 months. Imports of urad from Myanmar have been very lukewarm. When we try to understand what exactly are the reasons why the selling offers are not really, not many, why they are not many, what we have been told is there is some currency issue. The government of Myanmar has fixed some parity rate, which is unattractive to exporters. Therefore, the offers are not coming in the way they used to come in the past. So the flip side is that if you're not exporting much, obviously you are accumulating stocks there. So I mean, I personally presume when the month of August comes and when the Kharif crop is due for harvest, then probably if Myanmar also comes into the market to sell, I think it will have some softening effect on the prices. Okay, we are done with the questions unless anybody else still wants to ask a last question. May raise the hand. Or else we will of course take the questions offline. Please feel free to email it to us at info@ipga.co.in. Thank you very much I would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to all our speakers today. Dr. S.K. Malhotra, Dr. Srijit, Mr. Deepak Parekh, Mr. Krishnamurthy, Mr. Thakkar, and Mr. Bhalla. And of course, Mr. Kothari for always being there to give us insights. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank all our advertisers who have always, been there to support us. We had support from Agri Bazaar, ETC Agro, iGrain, and of course, Sanraj Shipping this time. The presentations and the recording will be available shortly after the webinar on our website. Please feel free to access it. And thank you once again for all our participants for attending across countries. We had about 300 plus registrations this time. If there are any further questions, please reach out to us. This is signing off from IPGA team. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Namaste, namaste, namaste.
Thank you. Bye.